Welcome you all to Ayurveda Network. Myself, I am Dr. Satya N. Dornala, working as Panchakarma specialist at Swami Vivekananda Ayurvedic Panchakarma Hospital, Dilshad Garden, Delhi, Bharat. I am going to discuss about the topic cancer conundrum and Ayurvedic perception. If you look at this slide, the word cancer is written. It's not, the word spelling of this word is CANSWER, which is supposed to be the word cancer is CNCER. It's not mistakenly written. It knowingly this particular word is written. In a sense, how could you find the answer? The word conundrum in the title is, it is a situation which is something to be difficult to deal with. Of course, the finding an answer to the cancer is the situation is difficult to deal with. The reason it's been written as CNSWER, cancer conundrum. And an Ayurvedic perception, it is not Ayurvedic perspective. Because Ayurvedic perspective will be the remains the same. But Ayurvedic perception, it is my personal perception being in Ayurveda as a background. So again the next slide is the cancer. Can we means we Ayurveda fraternity, can we find a solution and offer a solution to the or else the answer to the cancer? So before that, it is essential to understand cancer as such and looking at the cancer being in Ayurveda. Coming to the introduction, India's greatest achievement is longer lives. When you got independence in 1947, the average life expectancy was 31 years. Over these 70 plus years, the average life expectancy has become more than double. That is almost 70 plus years. So, if you try to estimate and calculate in terms of economy, so it will become billions and trillions of US dollars. Maybe it's may not major. And there are n number of factors which have contributed to this achievement. And one of the major two aspects which I consider as an immunization and the nutrition. And we are successful in adding years to life. That's how we have increased the lifespan from 31 to the 70 years. And but forget to achieve the life 2 years, that is health span, particularly in terms of lifestyle disorders. In other words, chronic non-communicable diseases, cardiovascular diseases, cancer, diabetes, and stroke. And the right top corner of this slide is that medical science has made such tremendous progress that there is hardly a healthy human left. This particular statement is given by Aldous Huxley. This is true in a sense of lifestyle disorders, that is chronic non-communicable disease. A report submitted in 2018 on the India health of the nation states, and the study is being carried and observations are made almost over the 26 years from 1990 to 2016, and the average life expectancy, that is almost 58 years on an average, is increased to 70 years. And the transition of disease patterns, if you look at, that is in 1990 the communicable disease, the ratio of communicable disease was more than 50%, that is 53.6. And now in 2016 it is almost 1/4, and the ratio of non-communicable disease has become almost doubled in these 26 years. It is 61.8%. This is the transition of disease patterns from communicable disease to the non-communicable disease. And amalgam cancer is one of the disease. And recently in 2019, the last year, from the National Health Profile, it is found that cancer cases increased over 300% just in a year. And definitely it is an alarming for the nation and the public as a whole. And being from an Ayurveda fraternity, how can we offer to target this particular growing problem? In 2017, Government of India formulated a revised national health policy. And the main focus with respect to the previous national health policy, focus has been shifted from sick care to wellness. And there also been considered the aspect of the pluralism. And that too, it is preventive and promotive health care. The world, we all know, world is moving within a sustainable developmental goals. So we are supposed to achieve 17 goals to transform our world. And goal 3 is mainly focusing ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. And target is by 2030 to reduce the 1/3 of premature mortality from non-communicable disease through prevention, treatment, and promote mental health and well-being. And India took this as a challenge, and India fixed the target of 2025. And World Cancer Day we celebrate every year. And for these 3 years, from 2019 to 21, the theme was I Am and I Will campaign. The theme of this World Cancer Day. Empowering call to action urging personal commitment and represents the power of individual action taken now to impact the future. And the studies reported claims that about 50% of cancer cases are preventable. Where there is a mention of prevention and the promotion, Ayurveda plays a pivotal role. And that too, n number of modifiable risk factors where it is more in 100% modifiable risk factor in cervix cancers, and whereas skin it is 95.1%, and whereas in the lung it is 85.8%. So more or less there are n number of risk factors which can be modified at appropriate time, so we can make the individuals cancer free. Coming to the definition of the cancer, what exactly? According to the American Cancer Society, cancer is a group of diseases characterized by uncontrolled growth and spread of abnormal cells. It consists of more than 100 different diseases. It is abnormal and continuous multiplying of cells. As a whole, we can say it is the problem of cell proliferation and differentiation. Cell proliferation and differentiation. Just imagine, an RBC has a 120 days life, and after 120 days, it has to die, and whatever the content, the further has to be absorbed by the system, cleared by the system. If anything which is dying early before the 120 days, or the dying later, or after the dying, the material is not cleared by system, anyway, any disruption in this process leads to the overgrowth that may lead to the cancer. So pattern of cancer is something which is becoming from mortal to the immortal. Usually the normal since our bodies gets old and die, the ends of chromosomes, specialized DNA sequence called telomeres, keep track of cellular age. each cell division in telomere is shortened until eventually they become too short and to protect the chromosomes and cells die. So cancer cells become immortal by reversing the normal telomere shortening process and instead lengthen their telomeres. Approximately human beings have 100 trillion cells, and we are more in the mammals, women are more prone to the cancers. If the human being having 100 trillion cells is more prone to the cancer, when we consider in comparison as an elephant, which is almost maybe 10 times more cells than us, it's 100 times more cells than us, so it is supposed to have more the occurrence of the cancer rates in the elephants. But surprisingly, the occurrence rate in the cancer in the elephants is very minimal. So elephants are large, long living and less prone to the cancer. And it is the risk of getting cancer in the elephants is something which is very less, it's less than 5%. And the gene which protecting elephants from that is P5453 gene, which is something which protecting the elephants. And now the scientists are working in how the genes present in the humans beings get modulated and switched on by different mechanisms. Microbiome. We know that among almost we have 100 trillion cells, and the human microbiome is 10x ratio. They have the human microbiome occupies the place of 10 times more the human cells. So that means we should maintain a harmony with the community, the internal community. That's what the individual microbiome. As long as you maintain a harmony with your internal community, and your immunity will be in a well state, and it even protects you from different chronic non-communicable disease. So it is maintaining the harmony with your internal community. That's what human microbiome is an essential aspect. Noble thoughts. So I have taken some the concepts and the discoveries of the Nobel discoveries which have a close association with the Ayurveda understanding and Ayurveda therapeutics, which by indirectly and directly influence the cancer progression and the treatment. In 2019, Nobel Prize in Physiology been awarded to the trio for their discovery of how cells sense and adapt to oxygen availability. Cancer cells prefer to be in anaerobic environment, and they grow rapidly in anaerobic environment, particularly more of sugar-based medium. How these cells is switching off the cells capacity of oxygen unavailability, and where how the Shodhana can influence this. So that actually has something which is related with this aspect. And in 2018, this duo got the 2018 Physiology Nobel, and for their discovery of cancer therapy by inhibition negative immune regulation, and their contribution is immune checkpoint inhibitors. It's something which is related to the aspect of Rasayana in Ayurveda. A study reported on Maharshi Amrit Kalash is published in BMC Complemental Alternate Medicine. Research suggests this particular medicine is suppressed the age-associated glucose consumption of peritoneal macrophages and cellular immune function reduction, and that it contributes to the prevention of immunosenescence. And in 2016, Aishunori Hosumi received this Nobel Prize for his discovery of mechanism for autophagy. This is what it means, self-eating. Is a vital process of degrading and recycling of cellular material that supports processes such as development and cell differentiation, and its disruption is linked to disease including cancer and neurodegenerative disease. This particular aspect is linked with the, has a close association with the concept of Langana. Langanam Paramaushadam. It is cell recycling and remodeling. Autophagy plays a key role when we adjust our metabolism to fasting and starvation. But in the contemporary era, in the contemporary times, in the current times, this Langanam has become, we consider it as a Langanam as a fasting, but this fasting has become feasting and the fast food eating. And in 2009, this trio got received a Nobel for their discovery of how chromosomes are protected by telomeres and enzyme telomerase. This has a close association with the concept of rasayana. And how the telomerase and the cancer cells often have increased telomerase activity. It was therefore proposed the cancer might be treated by eradicating telomerase. The eradication comes only with the Shodhana. And in 2002, this trio got received Nobel for their discovery concerning a genetic regulation of organ development and programmed cell death. That is what the apoptosis. The first step in the regulation of the cancer progression. And if you look at this image, homeostasis is something which is maintaining the balance between the cell division and the cell death. In 1954, Nobel in chemistry by Dr. Linus Pauling for his research into the nature of chemical bond and its application to the elucidation of the structure of complex substances. And he find the role of vitamin C in common cold to the cancer. And rightly said in Ayurveda, that is Amla as considered Dhatri. So Dhatri is the how a mother gives a protection to a child, the way the Dhatri gives a protection to the human beings. In 1931, a German physiologist got received Nobel for his discovery of the nature and mode of action and the respiratory enzymes. Cancer cells can live, develop, and even in the absence of oxygen. Warburg effect and hypothesis. As I said in the previous slide, aerobic glycolysis, enhanced rate of glycolysis and fermentation to lactate that occurs in the presence of functioning of mitochondria. Warburg investigated the metabolism of tumors and the respiration of cells, particularly the cancer cells, and concluded the cancer is a problem of energy. Warburg also hypothesized that dysfunctional mitochondria may be the cause of higher rate of glycolysis, as well as predominant cause of cancer development. And his quote on cancer is, cancer above all other diseases has countless secondary causes. But even for cancer, there is only one prime cause summarized in few words. The prime cause of cancer is the replacement of the respiration of oxygen in normal body cells by fermentation of sugar. And when you go through in Ayurvedic literatures, Madhurati Sevana leads to the formation of Arbuda. And so that's how Madurai is responsible for the Arbuda. And in the modern science, they try to find out which type of cancer is more associated with the sweet, that Madhura, so that sweet connection between cancer and sugar. And they found that squamous cell carcinoma is remarkably more dependent on the sugars. Modern perception and advanced concepts. How this modern perception, we are being in Ayurvedic, understand the advanced concepts. Some cancer terminology. There are different classifications. A simple classification considering the tissue type, that is the carcinoma, that is epithelial cell, 90% of all the tumors are carcinomas, and sarcoma, that is connective tissue, 2% of all the tumors, and leukemia, that is circulatory lymphoma, 80% or 8% of all tumors. Classification by the type of cells: adenomatous cells, squamous cell carcinoma, myeloid cell carcinoma, and lymphoid cell. As whole, cancer is a group of many diseases with one commonality, that is unregulated cell proliferation. Hallmarks of cancer. In the year, the article published in Cell Journal, so they mentioned 6 hallmarks. And this particular article almost received 1500 citations. This is one of the top article. And it is, the hallmarks includes the evading of apoptosis, self-sufficiency in growth signals, insensitivity to the anti-growth signals, tissue invasion and metastasis, limitless replicative potential, sustained angiogenesis. This is what Ayurveda indirectly Richard Kriya Kalas. And very recently now these hallmarks has been increased to almost 10. So there are other factors also considered for considering of hallmarks of cancer. So I consider this cancer as a transition of homeostasis to metastasis. You know, homeostasis is the state of balance among all the body system needed for the body to survive and function correctly. For example, homeostasis body levels of acid, blood pressure, blood sugar, electrolytes, energy, hormones, oxygen, proteins, and temperature constantly adjusted to respond to changes inside and outside of the body to keep them at a normal level. This is what the homeostasis. And how this metastasis transitions from homeostasis to metastasis. It is spread of cancers from one place to where they first form to another body. For example, if the breast cancer spread to the lung, the cancer cells in the lung are breast cancer cells, not the lung cancers. The plural form of metastasis is metastasis. Allostatic load is the wear and tear on the body and brain resulting from chronic overactivity and inactivity of physiological systems that are normally involved in adaptation to environment change. Allostasis is the process of maintaining the homeostasis through the adaptive change in the organism's internal environment to meet perceived and anticipated demands. I've introduced this term cannibalism considering the typical cancer metabolism. So there is a routine, there is a cellular cannibalism, that is entosis, act or practice of human eating another human is actual sense, that is cannibalism. Ability of a cell to engulf or phagocyte is another cell in its own type, or another is a cell eats cell, that is cannibalism, cellular cannibalism. But as a whole, I am considered as a cancer metabolism, that is cannibalism. That is epigenetics is epicenter of cancer. Epigenetics is something which is changes in gene activity, that is gene expression, without affecting the basic structure, the code of the gene. Gene stays the same but does not what was the program. Gene can be silenced, preventing gene expression, enhanced, increasing gene expression, changed, transmitted to next generation, some changes can be reversed. And genome and epigenome. Genome provides a blueprint for life. Epigenome will tell us how this whole thing gets executed, what determines when and where genes switch on and off to produce a person. And genome is the hardware of life and epigenome is the software of life. We consider the alphabet, genome as the alphabets of language of life and the epigenome as the grammar of language of life. Epigenetics is the biological punctuation. So in a classroom, an English professor asks the students to punctuate the following. A woman without her man is nothing. All the males in the class wrote a woman without her man, comma, is nothing. And all the females in the class wrote a woman, colon, without her, comma, man is nothing. So though the statement is the same, the expression of the meaning of the same statement is different in both the cases. So this is how, by just putting in a simple punctuation mark, the expression of the meaning changes. So this is considering as a epigenetics as a biological punctuation. And this is how exposome, genome and phenome. So how the individual being exposed to different, maybe the pollution, toxics, nutrition, lifestyle, microbiome, infections, vaccination, many more. His influence is the genome, and this genome gets influenced and the expression of the genome leads to the phenome. And these are the different environmental epigenetic influences which have the close association with the causation of the cancer, and not only the causation, it's also the progression of the cancer. Simply epigenetics simply means that the foods you eat, the air you breathe, the water you drink, and the thoughts you think, the feelings you feel, the exercise you do, and the lifestyle you lead can all powerfully influence your genetic expression. As a whole, it is beyond the genetics is epigenetics. And there are different levels of prevention in the cancer. One is the primordial prevention, primary prevention, secondary prevention, and tertiary prevention. and prevent the development of risk factors. That is the primordial prevention. That is where we don't have any disease, no disease. The primary prevention manage the risk factor, prevent the onset of disease. And secondary prevention, asymptomatic disease, early diagnosis and prompt treatment, and the tertiary prevention, clinical course, that is reduce the complications and disability. There are jobs with increased risk of breast cancer: solvent workers, chemists, nurses and physicians, dentists, painters, hairdressers, and where we are supposed to Ayurveda advocates, whosoever are more prone to get some particular illness, so they should be educated in a way, health promotion through Ayurveda. So then article published in Aspirin a day keeps the cancer at bay. And study reported in the Lancet and daily aspirin appeared to lower the risk of cancer by at least 20% during 20-year period. That's based on a data from more than 25,000 patients and builds on earlier finding that aspirin may lower the risk of colorectal cancer. Natural source of the drug's key ingredient, that is salicylic acid. This acid is found in jasmine, beans, peas, clover, certain grasses in the trees. Politics of cancer. Cancer is caused by chemicals in the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food we eat. It is caused by bad habits, bad working conditions, bad environment, and the bad luck, and the later including the things like the luck of your genetic drain culture into your bone. Overdiagnosis and overtreatment in cancer. Over the decades, awareness and screening have led to an emphasis on early diagnosis of cancer, although the goals of these efforts were to reduce the rate of later stage disease and disease cancer mortality. But secular trends and clinical trials suggest that these goals have not been met. National data demonstrates significant increase in early stage disease without a proportional decline in later stage disease. So cancers are heterogeneous and can follow multiple paths, not all of which progress to metastasis and death, and include indolent disease that causes no harm during the patient's lifetime. So this is very important while managing the case cancer. So there should not be overdiagnosis and there should not be overtreatment. So even NCI is thinking in the direction to change the terminology of cancer. It has commissioned in a panel's report confirmed that we all, public and professional alike, should stop calling lower risk lesions like ductal C and C2 and high-grade prostatic interneoplasia, that is as a cancer. So it's a study published in Science Translational Medicine, so claiming that chemotherapy may spread cancer and trigger more aggressive tumors. So is any part of our body cancer proof? As such, no organs are spared. But heart, spleen, and appendix are least reported with the cancer. Ayurveda understanding. विनोद स्वास्थ्य समदोषः समाग्निश्च समधातु मलक्रिया प्रसन्नात्मेन्द्रियमन स्वस्थे अभिधीयते. This is how swasthya been defined in Ayurveda. That is whose physiological functions, metabolism, bodily tissues, excretory functions are in a state of dynamic balance with cheerful mind, clarity of intellect, and consistency to be established oneself. And whereas WHO, World Health Organization, defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And as such, if you look at this definition, none in the society can fit into this category of swasthya. So considering this, so I made so who will be considered as a healthy person? I thought of, in a sense, though this word healthy, heal, die. The stay is self and heal means healing. So my perception as healthy is as long as the person has self-healing capacity in his or her, so he may be considered as a healthy person. For example, being a healthy doesn't mean that you will not get afflicted with the disease. Yes, of course, everybody is get afflicted with the seasonal affective disorders, but still he has to get rid of that particular seasonal afflictions within a maximum of 7 to 10 days. So as long as he is having a self-healing capacity, he becomes a healthy person. In Ayurveda, there is a beautiful classification is given. So as a broadly, they categorize the disease as Santarpanjanya Vyadi and Apatarpanjanya Vyadi. So in my practice, I consider in the current times, and almost every disease, almost 95% of the disease we consider as an Santarpanjanya Vyadi. So we may compare this Santarpanjanya Vyadi autoimmune disorders. And cancer in Ayurveda is something mostly Shlesham Prakriti are more prone to cancers, and no disease exists, you all know, that is without the involvement of Tridosha. And Vata dosha is responsible for high mitotic activity and pain, and Pitta dosha is responsible for enzymatic reactions, Kapha dosha is voluminous growth. So Vagbhata Acharya Vagbhata mentioned Mamsa, Meda and Rakta involvement in the pathogens of the Arbudas, and due to predominance of Kapha dosha and Meda dhatu, Arbudas usually does not undergo separation. So this, I've introduced this pathophysiology of Arbuda, so considering the Shatkriya Kala concept of Ayurveda. So Nidana is something Midyar, when the individual is being exposed to the carcinogen, the Midyar Vihar, and taking incompatible for longer duration, it leads to the initiation of carcinogen, that is Sanchaya of Tridoshas, which in further leads to the Prakopa of Tridoshas, that we consider as hyperplasia, and in turn, that is Prasara of Tridoshas, that is metaplasia, and Sthana Samshraya, that is neoplasia and benign tumor, and which causes the establishment of the disease, that is Vektavas, that is carcinoma in situ, and further it spreads all over the body, that is metastasis due to angiogenic, that is Vedavastha. An article published in Times of India, Delhi, that is in 2017, cancer may strike due to bad luck, not lifestyle. This particular research, this is the outcome of the research published in Science Daily. Most cancer mutations are due to random DNA copying mistakes. So there the aspect of the concept of karma comes into place, and in turn the epigenetics. That is unpredictable DNA mistakes. So three supporting pillars of life, that is Samakalina Trayopastamba, that is Ahara, Nidra and Vyayama. So these are very important aspects in the prevention and of the cancers as a whole, chronic non-communicable disease, and the promotion of health. And it also prevents the progression of the disease. If you look at this word prevention, we can interpret this word in the two aspects, in the two perspectives. The word prevention is prevention. The word vent means it is an orifice, it is in a passage. So always the orifice starts in the human being, that is orifice from mouth. So from where we take the food. So that means my perception of prevention is your prevention starts from your mouth, that is with the food. So in the prevention, diet plays a important role. And second version is the pre-intervention. My perception of this, interpreting this word pre-intervention means, in the current days, in most of the cases, as we discussed in the previous slides, there is an old diagnosis and the old treatment. So where I more insist on the pre-intervention. So intervene before pre-intervention. So intervene the patient or the disease with Ayurveda before the conventional intervention, that is pre-intervention. And the fate of oncogenes, you are what you and your mother ate. So fate of your oncogenes, it depends on your what you ate and what you eat. And there are supporting evidence, unhealthy diet, bigger killer than tobacco. Number 2 risk factor, India 2007, this study says. So that's how the diet is influencing day-to-day life. So if you look at this image, there is a malnutrition and the malnutrition. India is 20% of the poor of the world is living in India. Still, the India is facing obesity crisis. That is, we are facing a dual epidemic, that is hyponutrition and the hypernutrition. And bad cholesterol helps cancer cells to proliferate. This is how the diet has an impact on the onset and the growth and the progression of the cancer. Every living cell in your body is made from the food you eat. If you consistently eat junk food, then you will all have a junk body. This is how, in due course, the evolution of the human beings will further future generation will look at this. Shorter fast can give in a longer life. The study reported claims that space out meals to fight stroke, heart attack, and cancer relapse. And it's one more interesting point is research suggests avoiding a late dinner and early breakfast could also help stop cancers from returning. Importance of sleep. As we discussed in the previous slide, that is Samakalina Trayopastamba, Ahara, Nidra, and Vyayama. Nidra is something sleep, so this has a lot of impact on the different mechanisms, that is dichotomies, that is happiness, misery, nourishment, emaciation, strength and weakness, virility, sterility, knowledge, ignorance, life and death. All these occur depending on the proper and improper sleep. So if you maintain the sleep properly, you will be happy. If not, you will be misery. And if you maintain proper sleep, it gives nourishment or else it leads to emaciation. It gives strength or else it leads to weakness. That's how the sleep has a major impact. And these are the sleep recommendation corresponding to the age by the National Sleep Foundation. Night shifters, your DNA could be at risk. So sleep, in a sense, in the current era, people think of sleep only in terms of the number of hours. And they don't think that it is supposed to be the hours that right sleep in the right time is important, that too in the night sleep. And the study reported in the journal Anesthesia, that too in the particularly in the physicians who are working in the night duty, that is doctors, and they found that overnight on-site call doctors, DNA repair gene expression decreased and DNA breaks increased after sleep deprivation. And that too, it's only damaged DNA increase only after one night sleep deprivation they observed. And coming to the Vyayama, that is one of the third Samakalina Trayopastamba, opposite to the Vyayama, as long as you are having the physical inactivity as the fourth biggest killer. So sitting is gradually, intellectuals claiming that sitting is the new form of smoking. Because as smoking has the strongest relation to the one of the strongest causal effect relation with the cancer. Similarly, the sitting is upcoming as one of the similarly like smoking in causation of all the chronic non-communicable disease. And versus is good for health with respect to this particular condition. Higher the allostatic load, the more stressed the individual was interpreted as being. Allostatic load is a physiological measurement of factors including cardiovascular, nutritional, inflammatory, and metabolic measures. Non-worshippers had significantly higher overall allostatic load scores. Ayurveda practices. The terms complementary medicine and alternative medicine refer to a broad set of healthcare practices that are not part of that country's own traditional conventional medicine and are not fully integrated into dominant healthcare system. So usually the Western counterparts, they tend to call this as complementary and alternative medicine. What exactly these words mean? Complementary means it's an alternative medicine used together with conventional medicine. That is complement to primary medicine. So at times Ayurveda may be the complement, at times modern medicine may be the complementary. So alternative medicine differs in that it is not used as a complement, as a substitute, as in a conventional therapy. For conventional therapy, so maybe due to when the patient develops intolerance to the, maybe could not tolerate this modern medicine, then usually opt for the alternative. So there are studies, even Ayurveda studies with respect to the cancer is initiated in AIMS, how this help in the relief from the cancer. But I look at as I look at this word alternative, people call it as an alternative medicine. But I look at this word alternative as alter means it is improvised and revised, native means indigenous. So it is this particular native system of medicine which is revised to the current times. So that's the reason it is an alternative medicine. And there are different reasons people all opt for alternative approaches, particularly in the cancer management, just to relieve and prevent treatment side effects initially, and to improve immune function and to alter the disease progression. And this is one of the major strategy of Ayurvedic management almost for every disease, and with respect to this is that it is a therapeutic strategy. We consider a therapeutic trial. The first one is the Nidana Parivarjana. The word Nidana means diagnosis and it also means causative factor. So as per Ayurveda, diagnosis means, yes, we do diagnose the disease, but initially as a physician, I consider it as a diagnosis of the causative factor. So because the reason is Ayurveda in the treatment management, first is we are supposed to give a Nidana Parivarjana. Until unless you don't find out the diagnosis, the Nidana, so you can't ask the money, pay client and the patient to avoid that particular reason causative factor. So that is Nidana Parivarjan. And other pacification treatment and radical treatments. And Triphala, we all know it's as an laxative, but there are different dimensions of Triphala and its effects, that too possible mechanisms in the response of radioproductive and chemotherapeutic effects of Triphala with respect to the cancer management. I consider it as a staple of Ayurvedic medicine because it is a part of almost every Ayurvedic medicine. So, considering the clinical experiences, classical evidences, and contemporary researches, so I've introduced this group of 10 drugs as Arbudhara Dashemani. So, this has an establishing effect in the cancer management. And Panchakarma plays a major role in the prevention and what do you say, non-relapse of these cancers. And as long as the body eliminates the body toxic waste from the body, so you'll be healthy. So when the toxic wastes are getting accumulated in the different channels and different sources, so that leads to the kavai kunya that causes this. So these 5 organs, skill organs, that is skin, kidneys, intestine, lungs, livers, has to be maintained in their own function, that is proper elimination. So coming to the last slide, epilogue is Anayasena Maranam Vina Dainyana Jeevitam. So the gift of life is peaceful death and self-sufficient life. And these are some of the specific diets which are more has a prevention and therapeutic, we consider as a patya, that is functional foods which more beneficial in early recovery from the disease. And apatyas, it should be strictly avoided in the while managing the cases. Why AI? AI means it's my perception is not the artificial intelligence. My mean is to Ayurveda intervention, because Ayurveda is only the science which more emphasize for the health promotion. Health promotion is by preventing the root causes of ill health. And coming to the last slides, Ayurveda, I propose this as Ayurveda includes the cancer ecosystem, because cancer being a multifactorial disease demands multiple therapeutic approaches. Of course, cancer ecosystem exploring cancer and its relations with surrounding multiple factors in causation, progression, regression, complication management, and so on. Ayurveda inclusive, integrative, and comprehensive healthcare model is only the possible solution for RECNAC. RECNAC is something which I wrote this cancer in a reverse fashion. So rather, instead of calling this a cure of the cancer, I more emphasize on the reversal of the disease, because the disease happens over the period of maybe for months and years together. So you cannot expect something which is the disease happening over the years in a day or 2 days just cured. So it is something rather to bring you back to the normalcy, to the reversal of the disease. Even the reversal, if right as a RECNAC, this also means this word also means determination. As long as you have the determination of get rid of this disease, and you will be free. And modulate DNA with the DNA. First DNA is deoxyribose nucleic acid with the DNA. Second DNA is daily nurturing through Ayurveda. Spice of your life by adopting and practicing Ayurveda and yoga in day-to-day life. So coming to the conclusion, so in the words of Mahatma Gandhi, I do not want my house to be walled in on sides and my windows to be stuffed. I want the cultures of all the lands to be blown out my house as freely as possible. So Gandhiji implied that our mind should be open and uninhibited. It should be open to new ideas and new thinking. There should be no artificial boundaries, walls, or borders between different domains of knowledge, as well as the practice of this knowledge system. So I propose this Ayurveda for the people, people for Ayurveda. So I can survive. So may all be happy, may all be healthy, may all experience prosperity in everything, may all free from suffering. Thank you, Anada.